Diamond Rio, unbelievable on My Country 99.3 WCON. Diamond Rio, of course, what do we have here? 20 top 10 hits, 7 big number one singles, Grand Ole Opry members. They've sold close to 7 million albums. They've won Grammys, 6-time Vocal Group of the Year, and in my humble opinion, the greatest vocal band in country music history. And joining us now for the ride home as we get ready for their show this Friday at the Hall at Bourbon Brothers in Gainesville is the lead singer from Diamond Rio, Mr. Marty Roe. Marty, welcome to My Country.
It's good to be talking to you, that's for sure.
Indeed, Marty. Now listen, after all these years and all these hits, what does it feel like playing an intimate venue like the Hall and performing for like a multi-generational audience? Folks who actually grew up on Diamond Rio music.
Absolutely, and it feels good. We're glad that people still want to hear us and making new fans thanks to the internet. You probably know this too. It's amazing how many young folks come out. We got grandmas and children and their grandchildren all coming and singing. Not just the big hits, but everything that we've ever released. It's amazing, so I guess I have a little bit of future, and we're not done yet. So that works out good for both of us.
Well, we'll look back at some of the hits in just a moment, but let's talk about some new stuff you have. I mean, a great new song that I found on YouTube, which is so fun. It's called "The Kick." And so this video can be found on YouTube, and we'll slap that up on our My Country Facebook page as well. But, boy, y'all get together and do some picking and a little laughter involved in this one as well.
Absolutely. We had two older members, Brian, our drummer, and Gene, the mandolin player, harmony singer. They both at slightly different times, but within a year or so of each other, decided that they wanted to retire. And fortunately, we were able to do that. It's not something that us musicians think much about, we just kind of figure we'll, fade away. But, and so they did. And so Brian had a young man who's been his sub forever. Brian's had a few surgeries. Drumming is definitely a very physical job, and he learned to play. His name is Micah Schweinsberg. He learned to play to Brian. We first met Micah when he was 8, and Brian took him kind of under his wing and give him some drums and sticks and things like that, and talked to him about the art of drumming, and and so he was our natural hire. Brian was very excited that he would replace him, and then Gene, he sang so high that we settled on a girl, and she turned out to be just a fantastic fiddle player, and she played the mandolin, and she plugged in and. Boy, she was only 23 when she started with us, but she's 26 now, and just we wanted to write and do something that would showcase the two of them instrumentally, and we did that. Our whole band participated in the writing of it and the producing of it. Actually, Micah produced the video. He does that. He was doing that for a living, actually, in Nashville, and. So he did a fantastic job, and also in and outside of the screen, and we had a great time with that. And just actually filmed that across the road at Jimmy's neighbor's house. And he's a big car collector, and it was just a lot of fun all day, and kind of helped at least introduce the personalities of our two new folks, and show off what. As we believe has always been a major part of Diamond Rio sound. That's the instrumental character of what we do, and Jimmy Olander's Bender guitar and Dan's great playing on piano, and they fit right in, and it's been a wonderful transition for us.
Well, as I mentioned at the top of this interview, that in my very humble opinion, the greatest vocal band in country music. We have a lot of great vocal groups, Statler Brothers, Oak Ridge Boys, and so many. But the fact that you're such world-class musicians on top of that magical harmony, boy, that is just the perfect combination, which, of course, garnered all those accolades over the years. And here we are 30-plus years later, and you're still playing. Let's look back to the 90s a little bit. When was it that you realized that you were smack dab in the middle of what many folks are now calling the golden era of country music, all of you who put together that great collection of songs that made the 90s so popular with country audiences?
Well, we were definitely a benefactor of timing. But to be honest with you, I was so excited about what was starting to happen in country music while we were in the middle of doing our record deal and pursuing our record deal and getting it and then doing our records, because we had a couple years before us, people like Clint Black, Randy Travis, Garth Brooks, that were coming with what hit us, influenced by 50s, 60s kind of country music and bringing that back. We had an era there in Nashville, which was awesome, some of it anyway, where they call it the Nashville sound, with big production, strings and everything, and got kind of popish. And then all of a sudden we, especially Randy Travis, something very, and Clint, very rudimental, throwback to Haggard and Jones and those kind of things. And then Garth did what we did in our show already, was bring our 70s rock and roll influences too. That's our generation. And those are the two styles that I think 90s country kind of blended for the first time. And proof of that was, just a few years later, we did a tribute to the Eagles, which was such a great thrill for me personally and for all of us, being fans of them, getting to meet Don Henley and work with him on that project was just awesome. Won the CMA Album of the Year, rightfully so. What a wonderful project to be a part of. But that seemed to hit a much larger sector of fans. We literally, country music became the pop music. We were outdoing, numbers-wise, we were outdoing the pop acts, and by far the largest market share or whatever that country music had ever seen before. So we were definitely excited about the growth of our love, our passion, coming from country music and actually, being a little more mainstream. And we definitely were recognized that. And now, in hindsight, yes, I believe that it was a fantastic time in country music, and we were so fortunate that our music fit in there, and we were definitely benefactors of that, and we're definitely proud and love the music that we did. We wouldn't have done it. They're kind of like our children, and so we're proud of them all in slightly different ways, but what a blessing, and continues to be a blessing in our lives. My grandchildren are getting introduced to who Pops is, when they see me on TV, hear me on the radio.
How fun.
They think it's just commonplace,
It most definitely is not. And what a treat for them as they get a little bit older, too, to really recognize the permanent fixture Diamond Rio is in the fabric of country music. And that's what we do here at My Country. We play the music that made country great, and it's so wonderful to talk to an artist like you to celebrate that golden era of country music. You mentioned something a moment ago, how amazing it was to participate in that tribute to the Eagles, and what an incredible album that was that spun off several hits. But there's one particular tribute album that you participated in, and my favorite cut on that album is Working Man Blues for Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
What y'all did with that, with your picking, and all of it was so good. That must have been a thrill for y'all.
Absolutely. Had Leroy Parnell and Steve
Warner.
Warner was on there, and we were all label mates, and our label produced that project, and it was a great honor for me. My father was a great Marty Robbins fan, named me Marty because of that. But He personally actually didn't care too much for Merle. I think he smoked a little too much weed, but we would go back in the day in the '60s. Merle opened for Marty quite often. They toured together a lot, and of course, Merle named his oldest son Marty, and so they had a great relationship. So I got introduced to Merle Haggard very young. The first song I ever learned to sing all the way through at about 4 or 5 years old was "The Fugitive," and my dad had to learn to play that so I could stand there in front of his old Fender amp and sing it for everybody. I'm not sure he was real happy about that, but he instead of a Marty Robbins tune, and I latched onto that. So getting a chance to meet Merle and him actually, I tell people it's great to meet your legends and everything and get to know them or whatever, but it's really cool when they actually know you, when you walk in the room and Merle Haggard goes, "Hey, Marty, how you doing?"
Wow.
I like that new song. Yeah. And that's those are just priceless experiences that you really don't dream about any of that. That they're in your mind, those people are set apart and untouchable, and it's a really neat experience when that kind of changes.
Well, I got to tell you, one of my favorite parts of that song that we're referencing, your version, your label mate's version of the Working Man Blues, is your part, Marty, when you're like, "This is for the working man, Mr. Merle Haggard." And then you kick into that lick. Oh, it's so good, Marty. I don't imagine you're doing that one on stage, but boy, if I could throw my 2 cents in, I'd love to hear it.
We could probably pull it off pretty quick, but yeah, that's a standard. But no, we don't. But that's the good thing about the good and the bad thing about where we are in our career. And I actually mentioned it in our show is that we have had so much success, so many great songs that it's hard to get them all into one show.
Of course,
we have two medleys. That both include some #1 records in there, just so we, can fit as much in there as possible. We know that's why people come, and they will get to hear almost all of their favorites. And I don't care which one we leave out, we hear about it after the show.
Well, I got to tell you, there's one song that I know you're not going to leave out because you can't, and if you did, they might be attacking your bus. When we look back to, I've got 2 more real important questions for you. I know we're running a little short on time, but these are big, especially this one. It was, I think, close to 25 years ago. I was hosting the Country Cares for Kids Radiothon, benefiting kids with cancer. And we would play One More Day, a song about deep grief. And a song that 25 years later still provides, dare I say, healing. I'll tell you, it is for me. I had a personal loss this last year, and that song floors me every time. I can only imagine, Marty, you probably have a million stories of how you've witnessed the impact of this song. Can you think of one story you can share with us that about One More Day and how it might have impacted one of your fans?
Well, they are. They're too numerous to count. I think about, for me, Dale Earnhardt was a good friend of ours, and the song had come out just before that and was kind of climbing the charts. And we saw it as a great love song. We loved it, or we would never released it. But I went to Dale's funeral, and it was a big one. And when I got in a rental car going back to the airport, turn right around, go back to Nashville. And they were playing a tribute of him, all of his race winnings and the calls from the announcers and stuff. And the bed music underneath was One More Day. And I came back to my partners and I said, I think this song may have a different take on it, than we had. And it really turned out that way. And 9/11 came in the fall. Neither one of those things none of these scenarios usually are anything that you would hope for, but it was a gratifying thing to have a piece of material that literally ministered to people in their time of loss and actually helped them appreciate the fact that they do have some people and maybe take a little extra time to be with the people you love the most. And that song definitely has done it, still does. Every show we see people gather together and like they've anticipated the song. They have something planned to tribute someone that they've lost in their family. I see them in the audience every show.
Well, I'll be one of them.
25 years that song has been around.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be one of them, probably crying when you play it at the Hall this Friday night. Marty, one more question before we let you go as we get ready for your show this Friday. Here at My Country 99.3, I mentioned earlier, we play the music that made country great from the late 80s, all of the 90s, and into the early 2000s. Marty, what would you say it is that makes the music that made country great?
I think country music in general is, as Merle Haggard said, it's the poetry of the common man. It's something that all of us relate to, and we've always believed that what turns our crate, what touches us emotionally and makes us laugh or excited, that there are we're not that much different than the people we're playing for. And making that connection, I think country music does that as well as any. And country music fans have always been the most loyal to the genre and to the artists that I've witnessed in my career. And that's a unique. I think everything else outside of us is really trendy, and country got into that somewhat, but all of us who were a part of the major trend of country in your time period you described, we haven't, man, I'm telling you, we have, it's amazing, very humbling how many folks have stuck with us.
Well, when you have music like Diamond Rio has put out over the years, it shouldn't be that surprising. We're going to hear all of that music on Friday at the Hall at Bourbon Brothers in Gainesville. You can snag your tickets at thehallga.com. Marty Roe, lead singer from Diamond Rio, what a pleasure it is to talk to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Tim. We'll see you soon.
Can't wait to see you on Friday night. And by the way, if you'd like to win a pair of tickets, folks, now's your chance. Caller 9-706-778-0993. We're giving tickets away all this week. Here's your first opportunity right now on My Country 99.3 WCON.